That's what happens to people's confidence when they have to lead an actual project. They freeze, they overthink, or they just quit. Meanwhile, tech project managers are quietly stacking 100K plus salaries all the way to 300K. No coding, no computer science degrees, just one skill, and that's execution. There's too much info, but you don't have a clear path. It's information overload and zero clue what hiring managers actually want. Everyone's teaching fear, but nobody's showing you how to own a project from kickoff all the way to delivery. And that's why we built the 30-day Tech Project Management Accelerator. The idea is you learn what really gets you hired, and then you'll master the tools, you master timelines, and the talk the top project managers use. And you actually run projects from start to finish. We're talking about an internship opportunity as well. And this also covers AI and AI automation. In just the 8 days, no fluff, no fillers, just a clear, practical path and results. So I want you to look in the mirror. If you're still Googling what the PMs want, or you're YouTubing, are you on that path, or are you actually finally doing? So click the link, start the 30-day shit that will change everything for you. Click the link now.
Okay, click the link now. Welcome everyone, and this is Javon Live, and we are live coming to you. Well, I'm in London, England, United Kingdom, and today I've got a special guest, a friend who will be doing this chat with me. Thank you for joining this link, and it means a lot to us. It's our first official live chat, and in case you don't know who we are, we're JavonTech, and a little bit more about us coming up. But please let us know where you're joining from, so you can take advantage of the chat function and just put in your location. So you could say, "Well, I'm James from Lagos," for instance, and just put it there so we know where you're joining from. In a moment, I'm going to bring forward my guest. Is somebody that you probably already know, and I'll let him introduce himself. Please let us know where you're coming from, joining us from. And help me make welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. John Nover. John, you're welcome.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me, and it's really, really nice to be here. Looking forward to this conversation and to adding real value to everyone talking about
Great
project
stuff.
management.
For a moment, I thought there was this time lapse, when a correspondent goes, "Oh, this is Sky News," we cut over to our correspondent in North America. That dry static of 30 seconds, we're wondering,
Uh,
it's, oh, it
that's
seems
scary
there's
pause.
a scary pause, absolutely. So welcome, and welcome to all our guests who are watching us live. It's a great privilege to be able to have this chat. In doing a number of things for our brand, we have come into lots of conversations, and I think the recurring theme for people is, okay, we hear about your offer, and kind of we want to know what it takes to pivot. And so today, one of the things we're going to be talking about is how to pivot into tech project management. It's an open field, and a lot of people will have a lot to say, and people have doubts, questions, maybe a mixture of both. And we're hoping that today, during this live cast, we can help you uncover some of the things that will help you if you're considering pivoting. Now, John, before I bring you up, I just want to say to those who are watching, put a 1 in the comments. Yeah, put a 1 in the comments if you're from a tech background, that you've heard about tech project management, but you're not new to tech. Put a 1 in the comments so we know, and put a 2 in the comments if you're not from tech. So you've heard about ITPMs, you want to pivot, you think you have experience elsewhere. So let's know, like from a ratio point of view, who we should be talking to on the call today. Okay, whilst you're doing that, and big shout out to Aki from Lagos. I see you. I'll shout out the rest of the people as I see them. So take advantage of the live chat. So John, thank you so much. Let's get into the meat of this. People want to pivot into IT tech. What does that even mean? Like from a greenhorn?
Absolutely. Very, very simply, a project manager is just someone who is able to take a vision, who is able to take an objective from the mind of a stakeholder or customer who wants to make something happen, and is able to take it from start to finish. And he does that he or she does that by understanding what's to be done and what the end goal or end game looks like, by facilitating the conversations between the different parties to make it happen, by having a very clear plan that everyone can follow, and by making sure that that plan does not derail from start to finish, so that at the end of the day, the person who owns the end goal or who owns the objective is very happy that the project or the initiative has been delivered on time and on budget, which is something you hear a lot of in the project management world. Now, that's just the project in general, and it can be anything. So when people hear this, it sounds very serious, right? But it can just be delivering a cake, for example, right? The end goal is that you're able to bake the cake to specs and make sure the cake is available when people are going to be, eating the cake, right, during the birthday party. And it can be for something as elaborate as construction of a building. And in the tech space, tech project management is just doing this for tech solutions. So it can be developing a mobile app. It can be doing some tech integration between two different platforms. It can be other things like setting up an ERP system. It can be developing a web application, or it can be even optimizing an existing solution. So tech project management is really following that same principle, but instead of applying it to something generic, you're now applying it to something in the IT space, essentially. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wow, that's a powerful nutshell. There are lots of things to unpack there, and I'm sure I'm going to have more questions coming out of this. But I think you put it as succinctly as it needs to be. Very, very, should I say, bare bones. So we have a project manager coming in to steer the ship, and the ship could be anything, as you said, from baking a cake. Well, let's make it a bit more, should I say, more dramatic. Baking the cake for the prime minister or the president of a nation. That's not just any cake. And
Absolutely.
chances are you're not the one to bake the cake, but you have to give the promise and assurance that that cake will be there on the day they need it, at the time they need it, to the right quality, and pass the taste test. So there you go. You're speaking to stakeholders from across the globe. You first have to interview a lot of people, find out who's the best person to do this cake, who's not a security risk. All of these things start to come. It's no longer about the cake. It's about the delivery. It's about a lot of things. Okay, so so we take it from being very simple to being very complex. Sometimes you're speaking to people, in various other businesses, other areas of the organization, or external to you. So how do you have a sense of who's your stakeholder? Because that's a, difficult thing to follow if you don't really know who to talk to, how to establish the bounds of this project or endeavor. How do you set about doing that?
Absolutely. Well, sort of two broad ways to think about stakeholders. So there is what you see in your everyday life as a project manager, and then there is this sort of conventional theoretical view on who a stakeholder is. I'll start from the theory. So if you do PMI, a stakeholder is really somebody who's going to be impacted in some way by a project. And instantly, once you think about that, the varying degrees. So there are people who are going to be heavily impacted, and some people who will not be impacted at all. So if you're going to be setting up a building, for example, and you have to get, building permits, then those people who you're going to be talking to get building permits from are your stakeholders. If somebody is going to be displaced by your construction, then that person is clearly a stakeholder, and so on and so forth. So that's sort of the theoretical approach to think about stakeholders. The other way people also talk about stakeholders within an organization is really someone you will be associating with in practical ways as you execute a project. So it can be a broad range of folks. It can be people known as your steering committee. We're talking about senior individuals, senior stakeholders within the organization that have some sort of oversight, who provide some input, who you want to bear in mind as you developing the solution or the initiative you're working on. Stakeholders can also be members of your team. Be a different type of stakeholders. Stakeholders are people that you may be liaising with when the project is done. So, for example, if you develop a bit of software, there is thinking through the software and delivering the software, but afterwards is the whole operations of the software, which is after the project is done. The members in the operation teams are also some stakeholders to be borne in mind. So, in very broad terms, that's how people just think about stakeholders. So anybody who's going to be impacted in some way, anybody who you're going to be liaising with or you're communicating with to make the project directly happen, or who before or after the project has some concern, is a stakeholder generally.
Sounds like a growing list of people to upset, if you put it that way.
Not necessarily. I mean, so the reason why I said this is in degrees is you have different sort of stakeholders, and there's a tool known as the stakeholder
power
known
grid.
as stakeholder mapping, essentially.
Okay.
So if you're going to be doing, say, let me use building construction as an example. If you're doing building construction and there is somebody who there's going to be a cashier at the store that you're buying stuff from. In some way, that person is a stakeholder, but the person is not a significant stakeholder. I don't mean the person is not significant, but within the scope of the project, and this is not a great example either, but you get my point. That's not somebody you're going to be thinking about throughout the course of the project. Whereas if you're thinking about somebody you're going to obtain a permit from, for example, you're thinking about the person who is paying for the construction, now that's a significant stakeholder. So once you do stakeholder mapping, what that allows you to do, it lets you know how involved stakeholders are going to be during the course of the project, and also the importance you will describe to them. So when you're thinking about how you're going to communicate with, different individuals, how much you're going to carry them along, how you're going to get their buy-in or approvals, that helps you whittle it down. So you're not thinking about the entire world, but the critical folks to concentrate on.
So I'm listening to this now. I'm wondering, if I was half scared, now I'm a bit more mortified. There's a lot of conversations to have. I'm an introvert. I don't like speaking out. Can I hide behind emails? Is there an easy way? Are there hacks to do this? Save me.
100%. I like to say to people that when we think about project management, right? It's a science and an art, right? But to the two areas you've highlighted, can I do this as an introvert? Absolutely. And there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, I'm an introvert, whether you believe it or not, but I spent quite a while doing sales, accounting, business development in non-project management roles. And over a period of time, you may struggle at first, but then over a period of time, you get good at doing this. That's one. The second thing is that a great project manager is really a listener, and it's not just a talker. So great project management is not about talking. And it's for two reasons. You really want to understand what the end game and objectives are. That's one. The second thing is that you also want to know the levers that are important for working with people, because you're going to be doing a lot of the facilitation. To allay any fears, a lot of the execution is not going to be done by the project manager. You're going to be setting up the meetings. You're going to be providing clarity or facilitating and making sure others can provide clarity, but you're going to be working with tools that make it happen. And whether or not you know it, you've already worked on many projects already. If you have children, if you worked in an organization, if you've baked a cake, if you've planned a vacation, you've already worked on a project. What our training allows you to do is to transfer a lot of those skills that you already have, a lot of the experience that you already have into the project management space, and then get you conversant and get you comfortable so that you know that I can do this thing. Whether I'm an introvert or not, I've already done projects in the past. I've already liaised with stakeholders in the past. I've already used communication tools in the past. I've already had meetings in the past. So if you've done it in those other contexts, you can definitely do it within the tech project management context as well.
Wow. So you heard it, guys. You've ever held a meeting, taken it from start to finish, taking meeting notes, asked for next steps, followed up on those things. Those are aspects of transferable knowledge and skills that you can bring to the world of project management. I often look at it like it's lots of conversations. And if you're a people person, it's easier. If you're not a people person, okay, well, there's a learning curve, but it's still possible. And we're dealing with human beings here. Once you begin to understand how to talk to people, a lot of things become even much more easier, or should I say much more possible. So what if somebody heard this and says, okay, you know what? Sounds like something I can do, right? I've been a people manager in a different industry. We have gone through change and transformation projects. I wasn't on the tech side, but I can bring some of that knowledge, being an instrumental part of that change process to bear. What are my next steps? How do I go? Or I'm actually in an organization where we are doing some change implementation, or we're looking at getting on to use a new software, and we're going to need someone to evaluate that and bring it all together for us to make that change. We're not a large organization. We're like top of 5 or 6 employees, but there's a willingness to switch from a manual process to a software-based process. And I seem to be the guy who knows a lot about tech stuff, even though I'm not from a tech background. So it kind of is falling to my shoulders to lead the way on this. But I'm not a PM. Is this an opportunity for me to sort of test my, my knowledge in the PM space? Like, what would you say to that?
100%. The first step will be for you to sign up for the 30-day Tech Project Manager Accelerator course.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, I got to sell my stuff, eh? That'll be a first step. And the reason why, on a more serious note, I'll say you wanna jump into the accelerator, and the reason is two broad things. One, it's an accelerator, so it's going to help you level up really, really fast. The other thing is that in the world of project management, just like the world as it is when you're thinking about AI, there is so much information that when there is so much information, you make the assumption that information will clarify. But you can have so much information that it is overwhelming. And so if anybody has done whether Prince 2 certification or CAPM or done PMP, there are a bunch of tools, quite a lot of tools, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to read PMBOK and I'm going to use PMBOK to know how to execute in real life. And you may find out that you're overwhelmed. So what the course will do for you really is it streamlines. And I really like using this analogy. Many times, just like sculpting, you're able to make progress not by adding more stuff, but by taking away stuff. So I like to think about if you're going to be working on a project, what are the core essential documents to have to make sure that a couple of things are happening? There is clarity across board about what has to be done, that there is communication that is ongoing during the course of delivery, there is a way to track change and risk, and there is a way to ensure that when the project is done, there is very clear evidence or a baseline or reference that all the criteria for delivery has been met, so you can get approved. And how does everyone, stay on board, stay on the same page? Pretty much what the course will help you do is really whittle down the specific tools to work with, your RAID log, your schedule, and so on and so forth, essentially. So I'd say the first step is it's a great endeavor because you'd find out that, hey, a lot of the things you currently do are transferable in this new position. But what the course allows you to do is say, hey, what are the bare essentials that help me avoid overwhelm, but help me to deliver a project that's on time, on budget, that stakeholders, that your sponsor, the people paying for the project, are comfortable during the course of delivery, and that you come across as confident, right? So that's pretty important. We want to make sure that people are comfortable using the right checklists, tracking for risk, knowing how to take care of risks before risks become actual problems, right? Knowing how to set up meetings, knowing how to set up cadences so that nobody who is important is left out of the loop. So I'd say that's sort of the first step, do the accelerator course, right? Get into the weeds. A great way to learn anything is by actually doing. The course is very, very applied. So that helps you not just to think in theoretical terms or get overwhelmed with all the theory, but know the specific tools and techniques to focus on so you can get great results in that role.
All right, I totally agree. And one of the things that I have found, and I'm sure you will agree, is that especially when people are trying to pivot, one of the leading emotions that people face is fear.
Yeah.
They may have all the knowledge, they may have binge watched all the YouTube videos out there, all the free stuff, may have even been on other kinds of courses, but they're still afraid. And what doing a course like ours will do for you is give you the hands-on tools, because we don't just teach you project management, we do teach you like the mindset hacks to get you prepared for your first 30 days, your first 60 days, your first 90 days, like deliver value from day one. And I don't know, John, I don't know what you could say to that, because probably somebody's thinking, you know what, I might make a buying decision today, or maybe not. And it's all being led by fear, not a lack of clarity of what they want to do, not even a lack of belief in themselves. It's just the fear that this might all go wrong. So what would you say to somebody who's thinking that?
I mean, like if we're like really logical, even though fear is an emotional feeling, why do you feel fear? You feel fear because you don't know. It's pretty simple. You don't know, or something might be unpleasant, and so that's why people feel fear. So what's the way to get over a lack of confidence or over a lack of fear? It's really by exposure to something that you were unsure of or that was unknown till you are fairly familiar. And that familiarity starts to erode the fear. So for example, the first time you rode a car, you were afraid, and then you drive and drive and drive, and then you don't feel fear anymore. What has happened? You've been exposed to real scenarios of driving a car, and that fear falls away naturally. What we do with the accelerator course, two things, is one, you're going to be working with real scenario-based quizzes and questions, so that the kind of questions that come up in conversations on a Zoom call in the real world, you're going to be having to navigate those quizzes, those questions. That's one thing, so that increasingly you get familiar with what the real world is like. It's not theory stuff. It's based on the real world issues that project managers face. And that sort of formed the basis for the course. The second thing is there's an opportunity for internship. And what that does is you get to shadow actual project managers. You also get to get your feet wet in a safe environment on live projects. So that in the same way we talked about the principle of overcoming fear, we expose you in a safe way so that you can actually get ahead. And, you know, in the process as well, we're arming you with the tools, with the techniques, you know, with the know-how. So it's not just theory, it's also practical as well. And I think that makes it really powerful. The other thing is when people also think about project courses, and I think this is where we stand head and shoulders above a lot of courses. Someone said to me, what makes this whole thing unique? And I said, many times when you're thinking about project management, people just take a snippet, right? And they focus on that small snippet. But there is generally a journey of pivoting into the project management space. There is you looking for the job, and there is you knowing how to apply, and then there is you landing the interview, right? And then that in itself can be very challenging. And then you finally get into the interview and get the job. But getting the job doesn't mean you can keep the job and sustain the job, right? How do you ensure that you can get your team on your side and your boss on your side? What are the things to do in the first 30, 60, 90 days? From people who are experienced, who have been in challenging environments as project managers and who have aced it, right? What are the best practical tips to know that are actionable? Those are things you get on the course. Like, you know, setting up meetings with key stakeholders in your first 30 days. Getting familiarity with tools is what a lot of people jump into, but really those touch points with stakeholders, because you may not even get onboarded properly. So how do you thrive, right? We speak about things like OKRs, KPIs, just to make sure that you seize power, you go in, you do certain things, and you're confident that one, you can get the job, two, you have the knowledge to keep the job, and you know how to navigate the environment of real project management work. So those are things that we provide a lot of detail on. And we see people who've taken the training really succeed, not just in getting a job, but in keeping the job and thriving in their jobs.
Absolutely. I'll just speak a bit. You know, people often assume that project managers will get a fresh job. Like, you know, you just, oh, yeah, it's the fresh thing we're still thinking about from day zero, go and run with it. Most of the time we inherit jobs or programs or projects that are in flight. Yeah. And there's like tons of to-dos, maybe stuff that's been overlooked or left behind by the previous PM or by gaps in, you know, in the way the project was conceived. And now you've been left holding the baby. So you get to seek clarity. And if you didn't know what to do or have somebody, you know, prepare you, you're going to just feel like, whoa, what am I going to be in over your head? So, but as John said, rightly said, you know, getting the training, getting that hands-on, practical, real world exposure, it's worth its weight in gold, you know, and the interview prep, making sure that you get, you know, your mind and body and knowledge all lined up so that you're ticking from the get-go. It helps, you know, beyond anything we can say. So somebody might be saying, okay, well, are there real life examples of people you've helped? You know, I'm thinking I'm from the healthcare sector, you know, I'm doing something totally different than I studied in school. I've been out of school for a long time, or I'm not even a graduate. Like, can this be something that I can try and pivot into? Like, is it just a pipe dream, or do I strictly have to be a graduate to do this? Or what's the curve? You know, is it 60 days? Is it 30 days? Is it longer? You know, what would you say to people like that?
Well, a couple of questions there. So have we helped people pivot into tech project management roles? A lot. We have people who have come from the moving business, pivot into tech project management. We have people who have come from customer care they've pivoted into project management. We have people who've come from business development and sales. And again, what we do is we highlight the transferable skills they have. We help them refine their CVs and they're able to land jobs and they're able to thrive. In addition to transferable skills, they get the training about what real tech project management is like. So they're able to make that switch, able to make that leap. If you're thinking about time frames, there are two sort of broad considerations to bear in mind. You can actually get this course done in 30 days. It's an accelerator. If you're dedicated, you can get it done in 30 days. We've seen a lot of people pivot to a brand new project management job in as little as 6 months, essentially. It can be faster for you, but we think that's a practical timeline. That said, there are also people who are not doing actual, your regular 9 to 5, but they've taken the skills and they've started to work as freelancers in a really short time. You get the skills, you understand project management, you jump onto Upwork or Fiverr, and you can start to add value right away because you understand the tools, techniques, and you can get results. And then people then leverage that to get, your regular jobs, either working full-time or contractually. I think the end goal is really the same. Whether you're working as a freelancer, it's acquiring skills that are high-paying skills that are in demand, that is a skill set that is growing. There's a huge demand for tech project management, and so we've seen people being able to make that switch, successfully. And if they can from different sectors, then absolutely you can too, if you're willing to put your head down and do the work.
I love that. If they can, you can too. So really the power is in your hands. Again, I realize that not everybody has the same sort of mix of challenges. Some of us are fast learners. Some of us, we'd like to burn that candle slowly. Mm-hmm. Some of us already have busy lives. You already work a day job, maybe 2 jobs, and you're trying to swap that all to make this career jump into one fulfilling career. So everyone's got a different mix, but you can tailor the course to yourself and your own unique needs, and it's lifetime access as well for the one course that you do. I think there are lots of things going for how the course is positioned to help you. The more important thing is that you do get help and that your journey is successful, because that just puts joy on our face. One of the reasons we do this is to help people get into tech courses, because that's the future. There's a lot of noise and hype about AI right now. Will AI take all of our jobs? Will AI replace us or not? Somewhere in between there's some truth or some myth. And when you come on the course, there is a lot of myth busting that happens. We've even included an AI course on there as well, AI modules that will help 10x your learning and bring you up to speed in 2025. The other day, John, I was speaking to a young friend and I asked him, do you know what ChatGPT is? And he said, no. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
You don't know what ChatGPT is in 2025? Trust me, there are people who live on the rock, like literally live on the rock when it comes to like that, the piece of IT and developments. But that should not be you. In 2025, you should be up to speed, at least know a little bit about a lot of little things, because that will make a difference in your journey. So as we close, we're going to take a few questions, and please feel free to use the chat. I'm monitoring the chats to see what's coming in. There's 1 or 2 I've seen. Okay, that's a question from one of the users. So they're wondering about how to get access to the course. Thank you for staying to this length anyway. There's a special announcement at the end. But John, how do they get on the course?
Oh, absolutely. You can jump right into the course using the link training.javontech.com. So go to training.javontech.com, and that allows you to just jump right into the course. They have payment options, so you have options that are convenient for you. You can just jump in. You can make a one-off payment, or you can split payments into 2 installments, so it's flexible for you, whatever your preference. But it's training.javontech.com.
Brilliant. And that's been displayed for you at the moment, training.javontech.com. And thank you. Somebody else is asking, it says, well, you've covered the fact that people can come from different backgrounds. What about if you're not a graduate? Like, is that a problem?
Back in the day, it used to be a huge thing. Right now, most companies worldwide in every sector are very interested in your ability to deliver results. So just like if a person is hiring a person who, if someone is hiring an engineer or coder these days, with all the guys who dropped out, I'm not saying people should drop out, but a lot of people, are not exactly graduates, but they have a portfolio and they show they can deliver, or they're able to show that in some way they're able to get results. They understand the tooling, they can talk the language, they know how to get results, they know how to make things happen. That's what people really pay for, because value at the end of the day is defined by the end user who's willing to pay for that value. So if you can deliver value, nobody's going to really care if, did you go to school or did you not go to school, right? So this is a long-winded way of saying, even if you're not a graduate, you can actually take this skill, like I said, and you can start working as a technical project manager, either as a freelancer, or you can get into organizations. The critical thing is that you understand the terrain, you understand software, you know how to deliver results, you know how to work with people, and you know how to demonstrate that value and sell yourself so that employers see you as a valuable addition to their team. That's what's really important over degrees.
Thank you. Another question here, and I think this will be the last one before we call it a quits tonight. But again, feel free to reach out to us, or social media handles are displayed on the screen. Just a very quick one. The job search and finding a job. I've heard from your adverts, you say you can land up to 6 figures, right? I'm not aiming for 6 figures just now. I just want to get my feet wet and see if this works. Like, how easy is it to pivot, like find a job? Like,
How we like to say it to people is a lot really comes down to positioning and understanding all the different levers that increase the odds of you getting a job. So when people think about a job, the general way people look for a job is they think volumes. I'm going to do, 4,000, applications, and then they're surprised when they don't get results. But there are a couple of components that need to come together. There are components around visibility. There is stuff around how you reach out to people. There's stuff about how you craft the message. There's stuff about how you write your CV. There's stuff about how you search. This we cover extensively. But I've had people, and this is a true scenario. During one of our live coaching calls, which is not something we do as part of this course, but it's something for a different type of cohort, certain recommendations were given to somebody on the course. She made that adjustment right during the course, and somebody reached out to her on the course.
Wow.
This is like, So essentially, there's certain things you do. And again, when you think about getting jobs really come to us because you're competing with a lot of people and you don't control the variable of someone hiring you. But there's certain things that can significantly skew the odds in your favor. So if you if you're going to a party, let me use an example. If you like to go maybe clubbing, for example, and there's certain clubs that are exclusive, you can go into that club. You can dress a certain way and increase the odds of you getting in, and you can dress a certain way and you instantly take down your odds of getting in. It's the same thing. If you go in for an interview, there's certain ways you have the conversation that significantly increase the odds of you getting the job. There's certain questions you ask. Like during one of our training, somebody said, every time he goes for an interview, he doesn't get called back. And one thing he finds weird is when they say to him, "Do you have any questions?" Say he never asks questions. I'm like, oh, that's really that's really a powerful way to get your leg in the door, right? Yeah. So there's certain things people take for granted, but if you work on all these parts, they come together to significantly increase the odds of you getting the job. Till about 2 weeks ago, I still had a recruiter in my inbox on LinkedIn reaching out and saying, "Hey, we'd like you to take up this role." There's a certain way your LinkedIn comes across. There's a certain way you position yourself in public. There's certain visibility plays, essentially, and these are talked about during the course. So can you get a job? Absolutely. People are still getting jobs people are still getting jobs today. You just need to know how to go about it and, do those things to increase the odds of you being successful at the job.
Thank you so much. I couldn't have said that better, John. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. And it's supposed to be a very quick call, but thank you for everyone who's hung out till this far. So the announcement is really this. There is a 15% discounted rate for everyone who stayed on this call till now. And that's available right now at JavonTech.com. Please go search it out and take advantage of it right now.
Training.javontech.com.
Yeah, training.javontech.com.
Training.javontech.com. Yeah,
my bad. But yeah, training.javentech.com. Yeah, please go and search it out and take advantage of the discount right now.
Yeah.
You heard a lot of things. You still have
just to jump on that real quick, right?
Yes.
To get the discount when at checkout, just use the coupon code Javon15, Javon15, and that applies your discount that you can benefit from instantly at checkout.
There you go. All right, all done for you, and hopefully you can thank us later. Just want to say thank you to everyone who stayed to the end, and a big shout out to everyone. I see people who joined from England, some parts of England. I've seen someone from Scotland, and so thank you so much. Hopefully we can do this again, much bigger, much with a lot of different guests, and to answer more of your questions. I've been your host, Olan, and it's been John. Thank you. It's been great speaking to you, and see you soon.
See you soon. Cheers.
Are you tired of that nagging feeling in your gut? Knowing you deserve a bigger paycheck, a better job, but not just sure how to break into project management? Imagine waking up each day absolutely certain that you're on track to earn a six-figure income, possibly 150K, where your skills are in demand and your future is under control. Our self-paced, lifetime access course will help you do just that. This course lays out the exact methodologies top companies crave. We walk you through Agile, SDLC, Waterfall, APIs, and databases, the likes, backed by real-world quizzes to bolster your confidence, and a complete, ready-to-use toolkit of project management templates. Picture the moment you land that job, armed with a foolproof 30 to 90-day plan of how to deliver value from day one. Stop hesitating, step into your power, and claim the career you deserve. Click the link, enroll now, and let this be the turning point where your ambition meets your reality.